So I just saw the Juice Wrld documentary, and I wanted to talk about it, but I thought writing down what I wanted to say would be kind of disingenuous to this topic. So I kind of just turned on the camera, and I'm just gonna go off the cuff, and whatever happens, happens. When it comes to Juice Wrld, I got into him at the same time a lot of people gotten into him when All Girls Are the Same started popping off. And I don't know, I thought it was cool. I thought it was alright. And he just started popping off more and more. It was on the radio, on top of the YouTube trending page and everything. And I started getting into him more since everybody else was starting to get into him. So I was like, okay, I'll give him another chance. And I started listening to him some more and more, and now I'd say most of his songs dominate my sad playlist, my depression playlist. Him and Trippie Redd are the top two artists in that playlist. This documentary, at first, it was just kind of it felt like it was celebrating Juice Wrld in a sense. Most of it was just kind of going through the timeline when they started recording. I forgot to look at the date at the beginning, probably 2018, early 2019, up until the time of his death in late 2019, up until the very day. And the beginning of it, probably the first hour of it, the full hour of it felt like it was celebrating his life and celebrating the life, the world he created, the songs and the people that all kind of came together for Juice Wrld. We're seeing how he's become this amazing person, this spectacle of a person, how easily he's able to freestyle, how his songs touch people, yada yada yada. It's incredible to see, honestly, and how many people show up at the shows and know every lyric to every single one of his songs. It's breathtaking, it's beautiful, it's a spectacle to see. I wish I was able to attend to one of his concerts, because man, that. But like I said, it was mostly just kind of showing you different pieces of his life. It didn't really feel like it had a cohesive story to it up until it went to the day that he died, the December of 2019. You felt an aura change. He kind of held the camera guy and was like, listen man, you're gonna just start putting the camera on me 24/7. You just got to do that. And they had this weird moment where, I don't know, it just kind of stayed on that scene for a long time, and you just saw him passing out a little bit, waking back up. He taking some pills, snorting pills. Why do people do that in this film? The way people used lean and the way people used the Percocets and stuff, it just felt very normal. And I'm not I know it's like that in the rap game in general, and it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of sad to see that it's very normalized. And he didn't really even persuade people. He just kind of acts yo, you want to take this with me? And they just kind of did it. And he's showing all the pills he have in his mouth, and is telling people to leave it in, and it's just really, really sad to see, in my opinion. And even his new album, I think, is also called Into the Abyss. I was listening to it, and it's just, I don't know, halfway getting through it, I think I'm more than halfway, and at some point it just kind of felt sad, because in the album he's always just you hear him a bunch of times telling you how he wish he was dead, he already feels dead, and the song Already Dead, and how he just, the only way he can feel a little something is for him to be high, take something, sip on something. And it's just sad. And it's also sad that he was trying to get better. Even Ali was trying to help him get better, but he was still I don't know, had withdrawals, was still trying to get a little something every now and then. And it's just, I don't know, it was just very, very sad. And I don't want to come on here and talk about depression, because I've already did the whole spill on depression in my battling with depression's video. But I feel like I have to talk about it though. I do want to say, go watch my I Relate to BoJack Horseman Battling with Depression's video, because I talk about it a lot in that video. And I wish this documentary was out beforehand, because I would I would dissect it a lot in that video, and that video would probably be longer. But depression, yeah, it's something that a lot of people deal with, and a lot of people don't know how to deal with it exactly. Something that resonated with me well, it was also in like a intermission thing on his album. It's when he said, in like an African American household, things like depression, things like anxiety and stuff, it's not necessarily talked about because they really don't know how to talk about it. And I don't know, that kind of resonated with me. Like, you know, when you tell somebody you're sad, when you tell somebody you I don't know, just have anxiety and stuff, people always tell you, hey, get better. Like, what do you have to be sad about? You're a fucking kid. You know, you always get stuff like that, and I don't know. Just, guys, like, I'll put the number in the last video, but again, please call this number if you need some help mentally, for any type of reason, anxiety, depression, whatever. Like, this hotline's right here for you. You can also call the hotline that Logic put in his songs. Like, dude, there's a bunch of things you can do to try and get better, but it's up to you to want to get better. It doesn't matter if you have any of those urges. It doesn't matter if, like, you feel like you just need that one little bit. Dude, get better. Just get better, please. There were a good few moments in here where you heard what he was saying, like, really well, and especially in some of his freestyles, and everybody's around him is just telling him, yo, that shit's hard, that shit's dope, and you're listening to, like, what he was saying, and what he's saying is super depressing. Like, you can hear it, and it's just like, you don't want this person to get any help? Question mark. You, at some point, you gotta look at him and say, are you okay? But at the same time, I don't know if I would have felt it at the time as well. I don't know. One of the people at the end did say it really well and said it kind of felt like, it just kind of felt like art, and you forget that art comes from a person's thoughts and how they actually feel. So, like, put it in that perspective, I can understand that. But just listening to it, you get this chilling feeling, and it's just a lot, honestly. One positive thing I can say about this is that you really see how much he enjoyed his life. There were a lot of times on here where you got to see him smile, got to see him have fun, have a lightsaber battle with, like, DJ Scheme and Ski Mask and stuff, and get G Herbo over there on some motorcycles and stuff. Like, you got to see him have fun and get his mom a house, go back and, like, see a dog that he hadn't seen for a long time since he blew up, and it's nice to see that type of stuff. It really is. You got to see the fans love and appreciate everything that he gave them. You got to see his girlfriend appreciate everything. You got to see him in love. Like, he was madly in love. It was, oh god, that was it was so sad. Romance is always a sad thing, honestly, and it makes it sadder when you remember what happened. It's just, It also makes me sad just thinking about, like, how people were coming at her at first after he passed, telling her she could have did something better, and, like, even after the album came out, they're like, yo, this isn't how Juice wanted the album, how could you let them do this, yada yada. Like, oh man, it's just, when 30 minutes was left of the film and it kind of got to the point of his death, that's when things kind of changed and you saw this different message. It turned from celebrating Juice Wrld to kind of like, it was still celebrating him in that sense, but I don't know, things just kind of got darker, if that makes sense. Like, people were going through the vivid details of what happened that day, and I don't know, it just kind of felt a bit off, if you ask me. It's, I don't know how I want to say this. I really don't. Depression, anxiety, that's all something that, you know, defeats all of us. That I also can't really talk on getting better because I feel like sometimes it's hard for me to feel better. There was this one time where the kid Leroy was talking about him and Juice speaking on depersonalization, and I really attest to that as well. There's times in my life, multiple times in my life, where I just don't feel anything. Like, not to YouTube, not to school, life, work. I just don't feel anything. I feel like I don't belong. I don't know if I feel like I want to do something better or need to do something better. Everything I do, everywhere I go, it just feels like I don't belong there, and it can eat you up if you let it. Genuinely, even if you don't want it to, it can still eat you up. And Juice was an amazing person, honestly speaking. Like, you could see that through like some of the clips that you see him in, how much he enjoyed life, how much he hated life. You can also see that throughout his music and his freestyles and stuff. And at some points, it's just, I don't know, it just hurts. It's just sad to see this stuff, to look at this stuff, to consume this stuff, honestly. If I had to leave you guys with some sort of a message at this end, some sort of a pick-me-up, I do want to preface, I do really want to preface that things do get better. Things will always get better. Things can also get worse. But that doesn't mean it's gonna stay that way. Things turn around eventually, and it's not just you that will be affected by things like this in this world. It's your parents, your friends, like whoever you live with, if you live with anybody. Like, there's a lot of people that will be affected by the choices you make and the things you do. And I'm not saying you should live for those people. I'm not saying you should live to want those people to be happy, yada yada yada. I want you to live for you. I want you to live to want you to do better in your life. But at the same time, kind of think about the effect you have on other people. Because you could sit here and complain and say things like, you don't belong here, you want to die, you want to, I don't know, just not be in this cruel world. But people love you. People want you here. Whether you see them or not, whether you think they actually feel that way or not, they do. And I just realize you're worth more than you think.